Yo YouTube and welcome back to the channel, and it's officially time to do our CDL tier list for the season. On screen right now you're going to be seeing an absolute insane graphic from CDL Intel, so shout out to them. I couldn't even find an official graphic like this anywhere, so shout out to them. Big work over there on their Twitter. They have great stuff there, make sure to check them out. Then we go through and yeah, the way it's going to work is we're going to go through each roster, kind of give my thoughts overall, and then we're just going to simply hopefully this closes the ad. Nope, no it doesn't. I knew that wouldn't work. Okay, let me go back in. Bro, why is there always an advert here? Anyways, let me lock in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, kind of just judge the roster and put them in a tier list, and I'm going to try to give my prediction for the CDL season of my top 12. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Atlanta FaZe, fairly obvious. We're going to put them in the C tier. I think they look, I'm trolling. I just wanted to get them engagements up. I wanted you guys to tweak a little bit. We're going to put them in the S tier immediately. They're going to be unbelievable once again. I'm looking at this team as a few things where I think is actually just kind of things I want to talk about. One, this is the first year since Cold War where the trio have had a fourth player that they've kept, because they had Artites for 2 years and they got rid of him. Then they had Slasher, then they had Artites for 1 more year, then they had Slasher for 1 year, then they had Draza. So they've actually kept another player now with Draza, and more chemistry built, more experience under their belt. They won EWC. They're coming off some confident season there, and I think they're going to cook, man. We're on a Black Ops game now. In history, in terms of Black Ops games, I think Simp has been the best player, and overall they've always looked very good, especially the trio. And I mean, Draza, he's not going to be a slack here, is he? He's going to be unbelievable again, and I'm really worried of this team as an Optic fan. I think they're going to be very good, and yeah, they're going to definitely get the S tier for me. It's not really a question. Then we move on to Boston Breach. Okay, what's good with Boston here? A few things I want to get off my chest. First of all, I'm sick of saying, oh, if we get the Cammy that we've seen in the past, because I mean, I don't know what's going on with, bro. I would love to have a conversation with him and see what's going on, because he was such a good player, so talented, and I don't know what happened that Cold War season, but he was just different level, and unfortunately he hasn't gone there since. And we can't just use that same argument of that Cold War Cammy. We have to, unfortunately, use the current version that we've seen in the last few months and years, and we have to just say he's not the player he was. Based on that, the team I actually think is okay. I don't think it's as good as, I don't think it's as bad as people would say. Like, they think it's like horrible. However, they made no moves in the offseason. They stuck with the EWC team. There was no look around. I don't think the roster, I don't think the org and the roster overall I just don't think it's in a good spot. And I just don't think it's going to be competitive. I like Snoopy. I think he's got definitely a high ceiling in terms of mechanics. But just like the pros are quite harsh on him, like, the flank and stuff, they say like he makes a lot of mistakes. I think it's one of those where he just needs to be coached out of it. And mechanically, he's got a lot of potential. Will he live up to that? We're not sure. We have to see. But in terms of the roster, I'm going to, like I said, I don't hate the roster. It's tough, man, because obviously every player is good, right? Like, every player is good because they're the top pros in the world. But then when I look around, I'm like, I don't know how good they're going to be in compared to the rest of the league, man. Like, the other teams look a lot better. So I think, well, I will say one thing is this year, the teams did a better job of making the teams a bit more stacked. I will say that overall the teams did a better job. I'm going to keep them in the D tier just for now until we get some more teams in, and then we can kind of move them around, okay? So let's go through Minnesota Rocker real quick, just because I know their roster's not there. So their roster has been confirmed. It's actually Geo, Nero, Estriel, and Paul X, okay? So now that we know, actually, give me 1 second. There you go. I've got the image, made it a little bit easier to go through, but there you go. So you can see they've got Geo, Nero, Estriel, and Paul X. I actually like this roster. Just immediately looking at that on paper, I think it's got a lot of talent. I'm really a big fan of Geo. I think Nero's great. I think Estriel's been good. I think Paul X is decent as well. I actually like this roster, so I'm going to start off by putting them in the B tier just for now. And as I get more teams in, I can start to rearrange it. Okay, let's go through. Let's go Carolina Real Ravens. Okay. I'm a big fan of this roster, man. I'm a big fan of this. Gwyn, unbelievable. Last year was a great player. And overall, wait, am I tweaking? Mac isn't on this. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Yeah. It's very interesting. This is actually an older graphic. So there's a few changes here, which is very interesting. Mac is actually over there. Mac is there instead of Nero. I didn't really realize that. I forgot that this was a bit of an older one. I haven't found an up-to-date roster, man. It's really annoying. So, okay. Just bear with me here. So Mac is going to be on the C9 roster. Let's go through the C9 roster, okay? Like I said, Mac is actually here instead of Nero, which I should have picked up on because Nero's right there. So Mac is actually there. So it's going to be Attach, Tremp, Mac, and Sib. I'm a fan of that. I think it's a great roster. The AR superpower duo of Sib and Attach, I think the slaying power is unbelievable. A lot of experience with Attach, good young Slayer and Sib. I think they have a good balance there. In the SMGs, you got Kremp and Mac. Mac is, for me, a question mark in terms of we haven't seen him play in a few years. Is he going to be up to his potential? We don't know, but I've got faith in him. And Accuracy as a coach as well. Accuracy got a really good kind of season with Mac and Sib in. I think overall the team's got potential. I think it's going to be definitely below the top 3, which we already know are going to be S tier, and I'm going to put them in A for now, give them the benefit of the doubt, keep them there, and then as the season goes on we can kind of analyze that, but that's going to be the team for now. I can't remember who's with Royal Ravens. It's really annoying me, but oh my god, that's really annoying me. I'll have to go through that in a second. Let's go through the rosters I know are kind of confirmed for now, and then we'll go through that one. LA Thieves, straight into the S tier. They've looked unbelievable. Unbelievable. I believe they won the 2v2 tournament. So Hydra and Scrap on the 2v2 tournament. Again, these are just fun off-season stuff. And then they won the kickoff tournament, the K-Sun tournament just now, the kickoff one. Again, unbelievable, but just some fun stuff. They were able to reverse sweep phase. They were able to beat Optic. They were able to just take over, to be honest, in a few of those maps. Really, really good stuff there. The roster for me is super exciting. Your Envy, who the hell's Envy? Envoy, Ghosty, Hydra, and Scrap. And I just look at this and I'm like, now they've got Sender in the team as well, who does all the nerdy stuff. He's worked with Hydra in the past. Shane has been upgraded as well to the coach. I just think they got a very, very good, very, very talented team. Super excited to see how they play out. I don't look at this team and see a straight weakness. The only thing I could say is if Envoy plays the way he did last year in Respawn, that could potentially keep them just behind the other two, because I think the other two teams when they were on form were unbelievable. All 4 players were playing to their potential. Envoy did have a little bit of a weird year last year where we thought he could be final, going to that Toronto Ultra team, maybe, you know, bringing the best out of the rest of them, and he just didn't play to his potential. So that's the only question mark I have. Ghosty, we've seen him, you know, take over last year. Could it be a case where, you know, he went from that takeover superstar to now having a bit more of a backseat role? Maybe that doesn't play too well with him. I don't think that's the case, but I'm playing devil's advocate. These are questions to consider. Whenever there's a super team, we have to look at the potential things to go wrong, and those are the only things I can think of. Will Scrap and Hydra play to their potential? There's no doubt in my mind. I think they absolutely will. They're unbelievable players, and I don't see a world where they don't fry. So I'm going to put them for now at the top of my S tier. I'm going to put them there. Now, again, people are saying you can't do this. They haven't seen too much. Yes, 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 whatever. This is my prediction for the season. This is my prediction at the end of the season, when we stack it all together, who had the best season out of the top 12. And I'm going to put LA Thieves in at number 1 currently until my boys Optic come in, because I'm an Optic fan and I'm biased, and deal with it down below in the comments. Let's go through to the next one. We're going to have the Heretics here. I'm going to put the Heretics just in the B tier. I mean, it's just one of those where we don't really know what's going on with them. A lot of changes. I feel like for them, their ceiling isn't too high, their floor isn't too low. They're kind of just a mid-pack team, and sometimes you need mid-pack teams. You're not going to have every single team slaying out superstars. It's just one of those where I'm not saying you need mid-tier teams, but sometimes you're going to have teams that are just going to be in the mid-tier. It is what it is. You can't have every single team as a top 1 team, top 2 team. So they're just a good standard mid-tier team. I think they're not going to finish bottom every major. They're not going to finish top every major. They're going to be around the top 6 mark. They're going for that Spanish kind of linking still. You know, who knows when they'll be able to maybe expand, maybe break out. The only reason I think that could be an issue is that when you go for like a region lock, you're basically saying, I'm going to get the best 4 or 5 players from this region, and I'm going to hope that they are the best players in the world, essentially. Now, I feel like if you pick up a star like a Hydra, who is French, right? If you pick up a star like Hydra, but a Spanish version, for example, and they really funnel through the talent pool, then yes, I see them competing. But for now, I feel like their players are good, great pros, but they're just not the S tier pros. And I think that's why we're going to keep them at around the B tier for now. I think that's fair. Then we go through to, I want to say Vancouver Surge. I hope that this roster's correct. Let me quickly check. Okay, I just double checked. Yeah, this roster's fine. I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure that Hixie was still there, because I knew there were some few rumors, whatever. And not every single team has been fully confirmed, but they basically are, because they played, you know, in Zuma's tournament and stuff. But let's go through Vancouver Surge. I like this team. I like this team on paper. The one thing I will say, it's a weird one. Like, this team's got potential. I think it's a team that might start off a little bit slow, but it's one of those teams where I think can surprise us, and they can just start to slowly make their way as like the 5th best team in the game. I just really like 04. I think he's a great S&D player, great fundamentals. Last year, you could see with his first year playing Respawn, and he started to go through. He played with confidence. I think he was a very confident player, and he started to improve. His S&D was great. His Respawn started to get better and better and better. Abuza I was very, very impressed with. I thought he was unbelievable last year, and I think it's going to lie on him, and I'm going to go through that in a second. We've got Hixie and Nasty. Now, I think if Abuza can repeat what Ghosty did last year and be that absolute slayer and just take on that young team and lead them to, you know, some top 4 finishes, I can see them being the 4th or 5th best team for sure. It really goes on Abuza in my opinion. Nasty, he's going to do the similar role he did last year. He's going to be good. He's going to have pop-off moments, but he's not going to be, you know, as consistent as Ghosty. Then you have Hicksy, who's going to be your objective player, kind of taking his route. So I think it was very underrated, and I'm happy he's back in the league. I think he deserves it. He finished runner-up at his first ever champs. He won a major. I think the guy definitely deserves to be in the league. It's just the slaying power that worries me a little bit in the respawn. Can they compete with the slaying power? And that's where a Boozer, I think, has to just be that guy, take over. Of course, he needs help, but he has to be that guy. He has to be him in the slaying department and just make sure he's like Ghosty last year. I thought it was unbelievable throughout the year. If he does, I believe they can definitely be the 5th best team. Let me just put Optic up there for now, and we'll go through them in a second. Let's just go through Optic now, because then that way I can, you know, because they're going to be the top 3, then we can go through the rest of them. So Optic, Texas, Dashi, Kenny, Pred, Shotzi with Karma and JP. First of all, they're going to be full of confidence. They won champs last year. Second of all, they're going to be improving because they're second year together. The chemistry's flowing. They're feeling good. I just don't see a world where they're not top 3. And again, I just think they look unbelievable as a duo, sorry, as a squad. We saw their downs, we saw their ups, and I think it's a weird one, but now that they won champs, we can kind of look back and say, I'm glad that they went through that little dip, because the fact that they went to a dip though, they finished 12th in the major and then they won champs, just shows that this isn't a team that's, you know, got no resilience. And sometimes you need that fight in you. And the fact that they went from 12th to winning champs just shows they got that in them. They know they've done it before. The confidence and delusion is all going to be there in a positive way. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel confident. And I think it's going to be a triangle at the top. I think it's going to be one team beats another that beats another. And we saw it. Optic absolutely fried LA Thieves. Then they lost in the grand final against them in the K-On tournament, which was on LAN, which is why I keep mentioning it. And honestly, I just, out of the top 3, I can see any order. In my bias, being an Optic fan, I'm going to put them at number 1. I'm going to back them and I'm going to keep them there. But like I said, it could be any order out of the 3. This is the list I'm going to go with. I'm going to have Optic number 1, Thieves number 2, and FaZe as number 3. But this could easily be FaZe number 1, Optic 3, Thieves. It could be anything. It literally could be anything. But I'm going to keep it like this. Then we go through into the next team here, Royal Ravens. So I looked and I remember now, I actually forgot for a second. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Instead of having Mac there, they've actually got Vivid. And I am absolutely okay with that. I think he's an unbelievable player. And this team, for me, I just think it's got a lot of potential. Vivid's going to be on the AR role with Slasher. You got Gwyn and TJ as your subs. In terms of just the roster, the slaying power, I think it's got potential. I think Vivid's going to add some pace as your AR. It's going to add some numbers in it. And I just think it's a good team. I just like the team. I think I'm going to once again put them in the A tier. I'm trying to give a bit more respect to the teams and put them in the A tier, who I think are going to compete. They're not necessarily as good as the S tier teams, but I think they can do their job there, and I'm going to put them in at number 5. Again, number 6, sorry, and we'll mix them up in a second. Then we go through, we got a few teams left. Toronto Ultra. For me, I think they're going to be the 4th best team. I think they have a lot of potential. I think they're going to be the 4th best team in my opinion. There's a few reasons why. Number 1, CleanX and Inside have been a duo for years. They've always been consistently a top 5 team. Always. They've been unbelievable since they've been together. They've been consistently a top 4 or 5 team. I think you look at what you replace, okay? Yes, you lost Scrappy and Envoy. Now, the Envoy that we lost wasn't the Envoy that we've seen in the past. So what I mean by that is, it's not like they lost a prime Envoy last year. He didn't play to his best last year, okay? So in terms of straight downgrade for that, I don't think that this version of Joe Deceives is a downgrade on last year's Envoy. I hope that makes sense. Not as a player, but as a season, I think Joe is an unbelievable player. Every year is getting better and better. He's so young. He's one of the youngest players in the leagues. Great shot, great player. I think he's going to, improve year on year, and I think he's going to be a great fit to this team. So I don't think you're losing a lot from last season's performance by dropping Envoy for Joe, okay? Not as a player, because obviously Envoy's had a lot more accolades. He's won champs, great SMG, don't get me wrong, but from last year. Then you look at Beans and Scrappy, and I think there's definitely a fall off. However, in terms of a role and what you're trying to get with Scrappy, you're getting a very, very consistent AR slayer who's dropping numbers, being annoying, and just really, really putting out damage. And I think out of anyone you could get here, Beans is one of those players that has a very high ceiling, and I think can do a very similar job to Scrappy. Maybe not at the same level, but in terms of a replacement, I think, yes, it's a downgrade. Don't get me wrong. I think Scrappy is one of the best players in the world. Beans is a good player, and I think he can fill that role. Maybe not to the same level, but again, that's where the S tier, H tier difference is. If it was, for example, Scrappy here, maybe this team's an S tier. With Beans, maybe it goes a little bit lower. You see what I'm saying? Not to disrespect Beans, because I'm trying to give him credit here. I think he's a great, great player, but maybe not to the level of Scrappy. And I think this team's got a lot of potential. Insight and Beans, I think, will work very well together. CleanX is going to be great. This is a very aggressive SMG kind of game. You have a lot of fast pacing. As the maps evolve as well, we get more SMG based maps. I can definitely see this man frying. And like I said, Joe, man, I think he's a great player. And this team, I like the dynamic of it. It's going to be my 4th best team in the game. Then we have 2 teams left. We have Gentlemates. This one's a weird one. This one's a sleeper, because if we look at this team on paper, it's literally the same NYSL team that won champs, that won 3 events. However, they've lost Hydra, who was the best player in the year by quite a margin. Okay, so I think if you're going to go back to this team, we're going to rely on a bit more of fundamentals, more teamwork, and more playing the game in a correct way on the same page. Okay, if that's the case, then we have to look at Linz as the player here, and I think all we're going to do here is gamble on Linz's potential. Do we think Linz has the potential to reach Hydra? Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case, but I've seen highlights of him be a very good player at the start of the year. I've seen him, you know, he was a good player at the first 2 majors, and then the team just took a bit of a downward spiral and they never looked the same since. However, the first 2 stages, he was, you know, rookie of the year kind of like nominee. People were talking about him, and I really did think he played well. I just think he fell off a little bit. Now I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that was because of the team and overall, and I think, I don't know, but I've got a feeling they'll be okay. I just don't see them being better than Toronto. I think this matchup here is very similar. I actually like this matchup a lot. Priest has been shooting this game. It's going to be a weird one. I'm going to put them similar. They could easily be number 4. And I definitely think this year is good in terms of like, there's actually 5 teams that I think are actually decent. They're actually decent. Then we go through, and unfortunately for Falcons, we just don't know enough about them. And I'm going to put them here simply because they haven't been able to scrim. They haven't been able to be in the US here. They've been a bit behind. They've not had the practice. And I think that would have done them so much kind of good getting that practice early game, because they're already behind in terms of not playing NA competition. And, you know, with visa issues and stuff like that, it's been a little bit of a nightmare from what I've seen on Twitter, you know, getting them in the country so far. So hopefully that gets sorted for them, because I'm super excited to see them perform. And I hope they do really well, man. As a new team, I think it'll be really cool for them. So that's going to be the tier list. Now, again, I don't like having it like that. I think that's pretty unfair. So we're going to have it like that. We're going to have just 4 tiers. We're going to have S, A, B, and C. Optic, Thieves, and FaZe, my top 3. In terms of the A tier, I'm going to put Toronto as the first in the A tier. Gentlemates or Cloud9. Oh, it's a weird one. This is with Mac as well. I don't know, man. It's a weird one, bro. You got Sib as a grunt. I don't know. I really don't know. I low-key am going to do that. I think it could be like that. And then these two, again, it really is like, I'm just trying to put them together right now. If I saw them play against each other, like this C9 team versus this Surge team, who wins it? This is with Gwyn as well. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe this team, but they got a boozer. I don't know, bro. It's hard. It's hard. I'm going to keep it like that. for now. I think that Rocket team is not a bad team, to be honest. I feel like... Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to do this. I think that's a bit more fair. Just because... I don't know. Because I feel like I'm disrespecting that Rocket team, man. That's a good team. I think I'm disrespecting them by having them C. I'll tell you what we do. We'll do this. I low-key don't mind that. I think Miami just a little bit above them. And then you go through, you got Rocker. I think these three are fairly similar. They just got a kind of a mix of potential that we haven't really seen there. And then I think the next stage up is these 3, and the next stage up is those 3. I think that's how it kind of works, in my opinion anyways. Again, just top of my head, this is kind of what we're going with. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, though. If you guys want more CDL content, this is going to be uploaded onto my main channel and my CDL channel. In the future, these videos will only be uploaded to my CDL channel, okay? For now, I'm trying to grow that. So if you guys don't mind, I would really appreciate if you guys could drop a like and subscribe to my CDL channel, because videos like this will be going out every single day, okay? If you guys enjoyed, drop a like, and I'll catch you guys for another one tomorrow. Peace.